Titan's pride. In the midst of chaos, we stand tall. With nature's forces, we'll conquer them all. We are the Elestrals, guardians.
Hey guys, still Christoph here for another Elestrals video, and today we're going to go over some more Daybreak products. And today is going to be our Chronodile starter deck. So Chronodile is the main card in this deck. It is a water light. It is an 8 attack, I believe 14 defense. We will go over that once we break into this, but it also does come with 3 packs. That is something new that the Elestrals team started doing, and I'm very happy about that. Some of the packs are pretty good. They can be pretty broken. On the side right here, you're going to see they use lunar, water, and solar. Especially Solar's real introduction into this set. Lunar has a little bit, but it's mainly about Solar. But you got all the Elestrals here, you got the runes, spirits, and the extra stuff that come with it. Like usual, it is a 60 card deck. On this side, you're going to see it's Circle of the Sky V4. So you're going to have Owloon and Illuminate, and then a couple cards that are in the pack. And you're going to see right here, you got this little crocodile symbol. That is the symbol for this starter deck. And on the back, it just kind of talks about the game, including 3 packs, 6 and up. It is first edition. As of right now, there is no plans for reprints to reprint these after first edition is done, after they run out. So we'll see what other icons they're going to use in the future. But let's go ahead. We're going to rip this pack. Like all Elestrals products, you're going to see there's a sticker right here on top. If you tear that sticker, and we'll see how it looks when we do this now, it will say void. So you're going to know if products were tampered with or not. And remember too, it started with Frostfall, but same thing with Daybreak. They make this box big enough to use it as an actual deck box. Alright, so we didn't really, you can't see the void on there, but it says void underneath it. You open it up and you are going to see this set's new die. You're going to see the lunar symbol right there, or the solar symbol right there on top. See a little bit right there. That is your icon for number 20. And you have the rest of them, the 20-sided die. So pretty cool how they have that. Every single starter deck does have a custom one. It's mainly for the elements, but they're all custom. And I have a pile going on in my drawer over here. So we're going to open this up. Again, you're going to have 3 packs that come with it. We're going to set these to the side for now. We're not going to open these quite yet. We are going to open them on this video, though. Then when you open the box, you are going to have the normal how to play guide, which comes with all these, with QR code on the back, and you guys can kind of look through it. One thing to note, like they did for Frostfall, they actually introduced a future Elestral in it, which is the Morfrost Bat form. It was actually kind of revealed in Frostfall's little playbook, but it didn't come out until Daybreak. So just like I said, some things you can look at beginning a game, how to do your phases, etc., etc. And then you have Big Bad Chronodile right here. So let's go ahead. We are going to go ahead and crack this pack open. Remember, as always, there is a chance to pull a Stellar. And they actually add something new. There's also reverse Stellars in the starter decks now. So Water, I believe, has a card called A Rock in a Hard Place. There is a version of that card in this deck, we'll get there, but there's a chance to get a reverse Stellar after this card. Let's go over Chronodile first. It is an 8/14, 2 water, and 1 solar, which states you can disenchant water from this Chronodile in order to target and destroy a card. When you have at least 6 enchanting water or solar, this Chronodile cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. So to get this guy out, which you're going to see the pre-ascension here in a second, but it's all about swarming the field with spirits. And when you do, if you have at least 6, you need at least 1 of each, but if you have 6 spirits, then card effects will not work against this guy. So if we do have a Stellar, it's going to be the next card. Sadly, no Stellar for us. So this is Sundial. This is the baby version, the baby of this card. 2/1 solar, which states you can expend in order to enchant 1 water from your field, or expend solar. So you're going to expend solar to add water to the field, which you're going to want to put them on this guy. During your end phase, you can special ascend the Sundial to Chronodile from your hand or deck if it is water enchanted. So turn 1, you can get the second ascension out. If you draw this your very first turn, you're going to have the Ascension out. We'll go over that in a second. I believe it's a 5/6, but we're going to go over that right now. So this entire Ascension line is about getting the big hitter out, getting your Chronodile out. So here's Chronodile. This is the middle Ascension, a lunar water, or solar water, sorry guys, 5/6. You can expend solar and water in order to enchant solar or water from your underworld to your field. And then special ascend this Chronodile to Chronodile from your hand or deck. So turn 2, you can go ahead and have a Chronodile out. That's pretty good. If you have Galaxy, which I believe Galaxy might be in the starter deck, then that's going to swap the attack and defense of this Chronodile, which makes it a 14 attack. Yeah, 2 of those. Plucky, this is going to be a new Divine Searcher that was introduced. Because before we only had Elechic, which was Thunder, so now we do have a Solar one. It has the same stats, but just flipped. So 1 attack, 4 defense. So you're going to be more, defend with this one. And just says when you normal cast this Plucky, you can search your deck for a Divine Rune and add it to your hand. So give you that little search. Foamy, really good card to have in certain situations, because your opponent can't just go ahead and attack this. It says when this Foamy is destroyed in battle, you can special cast a 1-cost Water Elestral from your deck in defense position. So a lot of water cards are defensive. Galaxy's the only one. It's going to flip its attack and defense. So instead of it being a 2 attack, 5 defense, it's going to be a 5 attack and 2 defense. So those do get switched. So just something to kind of think about. If your opponent's still attacking that turn, you could lose Foamy and then bring another Foamy out. Or if it's the last attack, then you can actually use that ability to get something you need. Tadbuff, another good card to have. Not played too often, but with the starter decks, and this is a very good starter deck. Both of Daybreak starter decks are, so something to kind of think about. 1 cost, 1 attack, 1 defense. This Tadbuff can be special cast from your hand in attack position with water if you expend water. So a cool move you could do is expend a Water Spirit to special cast Tadbuff, and then say you had Chronodile out, you can go ahead and summon Chronodile that same turn as well. Galaxy, this is a very good card to have in most water decks. 2 attack, 5 defense, and it states any water enchanted Elestral is going to switch its attack and defense. But be careful, if you have 2 of these guys out, then they're going to cancel each other out. So make sure you don't do that. If you draw into your second Galaxy, just keep it in your hand for a while, just to be on the safe side. Next up is Ampharos. This is the Water Nexus. It is a 2 attack, 4 defense, and it states you can Nexus up to 2 water. When you do, you can draw a card for each water that a card received this way. So if you Nexus 1, you draw 1. If you Nexus 2, you get to draw 2. And a good card to pair that with is actually this card, Dratagua, a 1 attack, 4 defense, and it says when this Dratagua receives 1 or more water spirits, you can return water from your underworld to your spirit deck. So water is really big when it comes to healing. So one thing too to kind of remember is it says whenever it receives a water, so that includes the turn you summon it. So the second you summon it, you're going to heal, and then say you play this Ampharos with it, and you use its Nexus ability to give this one even 1 more spirit, you're going to draw a card because of Ampharos, but then you're going to heal 2 more. So you always want to think about what you can pair these cards with. Next one is Eddie. Absolutely love this guy. And shout out to Elestrals because this does have a stellar variant that was just pulled the day before I made this video. But it is a 4 attack, 1 defense, so uncharacteristic for water. It's more attack based. So this would not be good if you have Galaxy out. It says when you cast this Eddie, you can change the position of an Elestral. So for instance, say you're playing against a water deck, and Galaxy's out, and it's got a 5 attack, you can summon Eddie, switch that attack and defense. If you have somebody else on the field, they can destroy that Galaxy. Or in general, if you're facing a stronger opponent and you need to put it to defense mode to beat it, Eddie's a good card to summon. Its secondary effect is when a player casts Rock in a hard place, you can special ascend this Eddie into Curubis from your hand or deck. We will get into that shortly. Both those cards are actually in this deck. And actually there's Curubis right there. You only got 1 Curubis. It is a 9 attack, 2 defense, so super strong for water. More a higher attack than actually the Chronodile, which is the main card in this deck. It says you can disenchant 2 water from your field. It doesn't have to be on him, but your entire field. So if you have Poseidon out, that's a good combo to use. You're going to disenchant 2 water from your field in order to destroy a card. If the card is destroyed this way, return spirits from your underworld to your spirit deck up to the number of spirits that were enchanting that card. So it does say any card doesn't have to be an Elestral. So hypothetically, say they have their own Poseidon out, and say Poseidon has 3 spirits. You're going to disenchant 2 from the field. You're going to destroy Poseidon since it has 3 spirits. You're going to heal 3. So during that entire scenario, you're going to get a card off the board, and then you're going to heal 1 on top of all that. So very good card to have. Again, be careful going up against Galaxy or having a Galaxy in your deck, because then it goes to a 2 attack, and you don't want that for this card. Porcutide is another new Elestral. We only got 1 of these as well. It's a 1 attack, 4 defense. When this Porcutide is destroyed in battle by an opponent, they must either discard a card or expend 2. So something good to have, especially late game, because they're either going to have to lose spirits if they don't have many left and aren't going to want to, or they're going to have to discard a card. I will say that if they don't have a card in their hand, then they're forced to expend 2, and that could win you the game. Nectar of the Gods, you got 2 of those, cost you 2 to draw 2. The one good thing about water is there's so much healing, so you can get away with playing 2, even 3 of these in your deck. One thing I do want to show with this new Daybreak set, that's as far as I can zoom in. So right here, it actually says Invoke Rune, or it says Invoke. Sorry guys. Let's see if we can... Technical difficulties, I apologize guys. So it's not going to focus, and I apologize, but right here on the side it actually says Invoke, which that symbol is an Invoke Rune. So something cool that Elestrals started doing, especially for all the new players that don't know what all the symbols are and they don't know off the top of their heads, it tells you right there. And the one thing I did like is that because you can use any spirits, the symbol right there, or the lettering, it's rainbow colored. It's not one set. Because sometimes, like you'll see with some of the other ones, it actually will be like, it'll be blue. Ambrosia, you're only going to have 2 of these, but again, water is a natural healer, so you only need 2 of these in this deck. Poseidon, so like I said, you kind of see Divine right there, and it is all in blue. You're going to have 2 of these. This is the Divine God for water. So it says when you cast this Poseidon, you can enchant up to 3 water to it. You can Nexus a water from this Poseidon. So it has, its natural ability is Nexus. So for instance, Trotagua. I said Aepharos uses its Nexus to put a spirit onto Trotagua to heal 2 spirits. And then you can use Poseidon's natural ability to Nexus again onto Trotagua, heal 2 more. Trident of Poseidon, this is the artifact rune. So you can see the artifact right there. The Empowered Elestral gets +2 attack and cannot be targeted by counter runes. So for instance, one of those would be Poison Tipped Arrow would be one of those, because you're gonna have to, it's on the summoning. So another one would be Gorgon's Gaze, but they can't be targeted by counter runes. If Poseidon's on the field, so this guy right here, if Poseidon is on the field, your opponent can't cast counter runes at all, so you're officially blocking their entire board, their entire back row. Atlantis, this is the Stadium rune for water. It gives all water enchanted Elestrals +1 attack and defense per spirit on them. Rock in a Hard Place, this is one of the newer cards, the one we were just talking about for Kuribus and Eddie. So it says, this Rock in a Hard Place cannot be chained by counter runes. So there is a card called Chains of Prometheus, which could block this effect, which with this ability it can't. Or even Gorgon's Gaze, because they're talking about chained. So say Eddie's out and I play Rock in a Hard Place to activate that special ability. Usually you would want to play Gorgon's Gaze so Eddie can't use its ability. With this card, they can't play Gorgon's Gaze. You're going to target a rune and an Elestral on the opponent's field. That opponent destroys one of them. So again, you kind of see the ship. This is from Greek lore. So the ship Argo is actually going between these two. So you have a monster here in sea, and then you actually have I think it's Scylla in Greek mythology. I'm not 100%, so I'm not gonna go further with that. But you can kind of see this. It actually looks like a card we recently saw, right? Doesn't it look like Kuribus? See the teeth all coming up right there. So really cool how they did that, how they combine cards like that, or they show the next card. And then go figure, we also have Argo. So again, this is the Argo ship right there. So there's in the community right now, a lot of people are speculating that this is going to be a new Elestral coming up in Moonrise. Moonrise should be coming out, I believe they said January. So Argo, you only have one of these. It is a counter rune, and you can use any type of spirits for it, but it states this Argo can only be cast after an Elestral declares an attack. It can be yours, it can be your opponent's, whichever. It says cast an artifact rune from your hand or deck. So in this deck situation, you'd go ahead and you'd play Argo, and then you'd be able to play your Trident of Poseidon, which will give you 2 attack. So it's good to counter your opponent. That way they can't destroy your Elestral. You know, say they got a card that's 1 point higher. You can play Argo into Trident of Poseidon, and then you're going to actually attack over their Elestral. And that's going to be on their turn, so that you're going to have an advantage on your turn. Gorgon's Gaze, this is a staple in almost every single deck. Most people run 2, myself usually 3. This is probably one of the best counter runes in the game. You're going to target an Elestral. Its effects... if its effect is on the chain, negate it. So for instance, say there's a card played, and then the Elestral activates ability, and then you play Gorgon's Gaze. Gorgon's going to stop that effect from that Elestral. Until the end phase, that Elestral is suppressed, which means it can't use its ability. It cannot receive enchantments, so you can't use equipment or anything to it. It can't attack. It can't Nexus. So say Aepharos has that Nexus ability, won't be able to use that. Or Ascend. So Ascending is like, say, Eddie into Curubus. It goes into a stronger form. So essentially Gorgon's Gaze, just like the Gorgon's Legend, is going to turn that Elestral to stone for that entire turn. Altar of Stars. This is probably one of the more hype cards in this set, in this starter deck, because before now this was only a rare you can pull out of base set, and a base set, whether Kickstarter or First Edition. So it did finally get a reprint in the starter deck. So very great card to have. I believe in both starter decks there's Altar of Stars. But it says you can Nexus 1 Spirit. If you do, you can change the position of Elestral. So say an opponent's attacking you, you can play Altar of Stars, turn it to defense mode, or say your Elestral has a higher defense, you can use Altar of Stars on yourself. The one thing to kind of remember too, because it talks about Nexus, so keep that in mind. So for this deck, it would be Jotagwa. Have an extra Water Spirit out, Jotagwa's on the field, you can play Altar of Stars to Nexus onto it, which would automatically make its activate's ability to heal 2 more. So you just want to think about that kind of stuff, like the chain of events you can do in each turn. Tsunami, this is another staple. This is probably one of my personal favorite counter runes. Change all Elestrals to defense position unless they are water enchanted. So again, in a water deck, this thing is amazing. Against a water deck, this card is absolutely useless. So if you guys have card effects that make you discard a card and you're going up against water, do not play your Tsunami. Just keep it and then toss it. Find a way to get rid of it because it's pointless. Now we're going to go on to our spirits. 12 water, 12 Leviathan with the new artwork. Super cool, super nice. Luminate, this is the new solar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to have 6 of those. And then Owloon, you're going to have 2. And this card's usually in the back of the starter deck. It talks about each phase. And on the flip side, you're going to have like the rune symbols, what they mean, when you're declaring battle, how the battles work. But that's our starter deck, guys. So very good starter deck. A-Drive, the guy that made this game, he actually just posted a video recently. Him and another guy whose name is Shady Penguin. They just did a starter deck versus starter deck for these for Daybreak, and both the decks kind of turned up really good. So something to think about. But these decks, they're more structured. Anyone who played like Yu-Gi-Oh, for instance, you had starter decks and then went into structure decks. This is definitely a structure deck. You can go into a tournament with this deck and probably do pretty good. So we're going to set this to the side. So the other thing that's kind of cool, if you guys like Draft League or pack battles, for instance, you guys could do like a mini pack battle with this. Or say you were just playing with a friend, you're like, you know what, let's go ahead and open starter decks. It comes with 3 packs, then we can use the packs in our starter deck. So just something to kind of think about too, especially for new players able to change the deck up ever slightly. We're going to go ahead and rip these real quick. I will tell you on that same video I just talked about, Dan pulled a Gorgon's Gaze from this. So you remember the Gorgon's Gaze we showed you in the starter deck? Daybreak came out with a full art version, and it's a holo. So Dan actually pulled it from the A drive, pulled it from these. So we're going to go ahead and fingers crossed we can pull something good. Me personally, as you guys know, Stellar Kristoff, I'm hoping for a Stellar. So the pack trick with Daybreak, and went back to how it was for first edition. They fixed the issue from Frostfall. It's one from the back. So there's your spirit. I will tell you guys though, if one of these packs has a holo spirit, that pack trick will actually show the rare, and then the spirit would be a holo spirit. So we have ourselves Leviathan, this would be the third Eddie, so then you can have a full playset of Eddie in your deck. Larva Cell, this is a new Thunder card which lets you Nexus Thunder or Solar. Verituka, it's a wind. When it attacks an Elestral that's in attack position, it actually suppresses that Elestral, and if they have equal spirits or less, it automatically gets destroyed. So this card's pretty good to have if you're going to play like a Wind Nexus and just keep adding more spirits to it. Toxus Swarm, this is the Nexus of Toxel. It's 4 attack, 1 defense, and has the same ability when it receives, so this one's wind, when it receives wind, your opponent has to expend a spirit. So just by summoning this, it's going to hurt your opponent. Rhynymph, a 5 defense water, super good defense. You can expend Frost in order to move this Rhynymph to your Rune Realm. It becomes an artifact, empowering said Elestral with -2 defense. So when you do that, you're actually going to play it onto your opponent. And the cool thing that's about this is it's expend, and then while you have a spirit on this, you're just moving this. The nexus of this is Spy Nymph, and it says when it's destroyed. So it gets destroyed, and then you have to use an additional spirit. So this way is kind of cool that literally just take it and slide it into your back row. Javalucan, this is the other, what is it? I'm going to butcher the name. Verituka, sorry guys. This is the Ascension, 6 attack, 4 defense. It's a 2 cost. It says when this destroys an opponent's attack position on Elestral, your opponent must expend 3. Very good card. Morfrost Bat Form, 1/1, and a 1 cost Frost. When this Morfrost is discarded, you can special cast a Morfrost that's not Bat Form from your Underworld. So the Morfrost, if you guys don't know, there's 5 different Morfrost cards now, and literally they just talk about. They mainly is like taking cards from your deck or your hand, putting them in your Underworld, and then special summoning them from your Underworld. And it just keeps going over and over. Pulsar, 2 attack, 2 defense. For every Frost Elestral that is in your Underworld, it gets +1 attack. It can only go up to +5, so it can get up to a 7 attack. So this would be kind of good for your Morfrost deck, just to have like something else there. And the rare is going to be Exaltus. This is Exalt Terror and Exalt Flare's Nexus form. 3 attack, 2 defense. You're a Nexus 2 Solar. When you do, you search your deck for an Ethereal Elestral and add it to your hand. The symbol right here, you guys really can't see it too well, but it means Ethereal. Let's see if I can get this cleared up for you. There we go. So that symbol that's right there, right above my finger, that means Ethereal. And you can see it's right here on the bottom. There's actually a decent amount of cards that fit into that subclass. Alright, let's go ahead and rip pack number 2. So the rare was pretty good for this one. It was not holo, but that's alright. We don't mind that. You will always get a rare in these packs. It will not always be holo, sadly. So, this time we got Zaptor. Guardian of the Fleece. This card protects your artifact runes, which is something very new to Elestrals and to Daybreak. It says this Guardian of the Fleece can only be cast when an opponent activates a card effect that targets an artifact or the empowered Elestral on the field. Negate that effect, then destroy any card on your opponent's field. And this is a counter rune for 2 solar. Bloom, this is another counter rune. This one is for Earth. It says you're going to Nexus Earth. When you do, you can enchant Earth to an Elestral on your field. So the cool thing about this is any Earth that has a receive effect. So for instance, this Celestial right here, this is Clovey, which says when it receives Earth, you get to draw a card. So just with this card, you can, when you play this counter rune, you're going to draw 2 cards that turn. Don't Poke the Bear. I absolutely love this card. This is Mama Bear protecting her cubs. This is a counter rune. It is a 1-cost fire. Don't Poke the Bear can only be cast during the battle phase. Target a bear Elestral and give it +4 attack and +4 defense until the end phase. So again, your opponent's going to attack you. You're worried. Play this. Knock it out. Or it's your turn. You want to attack over something. Have this face down. Play it. Swing over your opponent. Another fire counter rune. This is Follow the Wisp. You're going to target an Elestral on the field. Your other Elestrals cannot be attacked this turn as long as that Elestral is enchanted. So you use this on your heavy hitter. That way you're protected that turn, or everything else is protected. But this card also has a second effect if a card called Funglide is on the field. If you have Funglide on the field and then you play Follow the Wisp, Funglide's special ability lets you ascend into a card called Brontowisp. Dratora. This is the nexus of the Dratogwa that was in this deck, and I don't know the other name. Sorry, guys. I'm Drataya. Sorry, guys. 2 attack, 4 defense. You can nexus Solar. When you do, you can return up to 2 Solar from your Underworld to your Spirit deck. So just like the Dratogwa, it does have a healing ability. The only difference is when Dratogwa is a receiver, this one is actually its own nexus. And nexus is cards itself. Barabog. A 2-cost Earth and Water, 3 attack, 7 defense. This card was actually introduced in base set, and then I got a reprint because in this set, this little baby guy here, it's called Barabib, I believe. It's the pre-ascension, so that was released. When your opponent casts a card without Earth or Water, they must expend a Spirit. So that's Elestrals, that's runes, everything. Anything they do, if it's not Earth or Water, they're going to have to expend Spirits. Scavacol. This is a 2-cost fire. I believe it's Scavagem is the nexus. It's an Earth card. When you ascend into this Scavacol, you can expend fire in order to search your deck for up to 2 cards with enchantment cost fire or 2 fire and add them to your hand. It can be Elestrals or runes. Does not matter. So Eruption, for instance, is a fire card that costs you 2 spirits. And it deals 3. It makes your opponent have to expend 3 spirits. So you can actually pull 2 of those. If your opponent only has 5 or 6 spirits left, you can go ahead and play this card and then hopefully win the game right then and there. Humburst. Love mill cards. So milling means taking cards, making your opponent have to take cards from their deck and toss it to the Underworld. So it is a 4 attack, 3 defense. It's a 2-cost, which seems really weak until you get to the special ability. You can disenchant Earth and Solar from this Humbust to force your opponent to send the top 6 cards of their deck to the Underworld. Humbust is the pre-ascension. It only lets you mill 2 at a time. This one is going to do 6. If you have some kind of a Nexus ability, or if you can ascend and have double fire, double solar, you can cost your opponent 12 in 1 turn. But just remember, when you do that, you're also sacrificing this. And the rare is a 2nd Exaltus. That's not bad, though. We'll take the Exaltus. We will take the Nexus cards. I run a couple decks with the Nexus forms of Exaltus, and they usually do pretty well. Alright, so another Zaptor. So we got Rumacol. This is Scavacol's pre-ascension. When you normal cast this Rumacol, you can search your deck for a Stadium Rune or Stroke the Forge. Stroke the Forge is a card that if Volcanic Forge, which is a Stadium Rune, if you play Volcanic Forge and then play Stroke the Forge, you can search your deck for a Fire Elestral. And then you add it to your hand. This Rumacol gets +1 attack for each fire enchanting it, as long as Volcanic Forge is enchanting. So Volcanic Forge is automatically going to give Elestrals +1 attack per spirit on them. So Volcanic Forge is going to activate, you're going to go ahead, and now he's going to go to a 3 attack. And then, since it has 1 spirit and using its own ability, it's going to jump to a 4. So, very cool ability to have. Humbust, this was a card we just talked about. And it does have a new artwork. Before, this was a starter deck exclusive card. So now they did change it, so it's actually in the actual set. When a player casts a rune, An opponent must send the top 2 cards of their deck to the underworld. This effect can only be activated 4 times a turn. So if you're able to do that, you're going to cost your opponent 8 cards off the top of their deck. The best part about Humbust is that it also counts when your opponent uses runes. So if you're going to attack and they're going to play a counter rune, 2 cards. They're going to use an Ambrosia to heal their points, 2 cards. A-Drive, the guy that made this game, I actually played against him when he was using a mill deck with this card, and he equipped a card called Golden Fleece to it, which states that basically if you try to destroy Humbust with Golden Fleece, you get 1 get out of jail free card. So that Golden Fleece would get destroyed instead of Humbust. There's another Eddie, another Larvacell, Ferrotuca, Humburst, Porcutide, so we got our second Porcutide we could add to that deck, Anacell. So this is Larvacell's Ascension, as a Thunder and Solar 4/4. You can expend 2 Solar in order to special ascend this Anacell to Phosphocell from your hand or deck. When you cast a rune with Solar, you can enchant Thunder from your underworld to this Anacell. So we won't go into Phosphocell, but it has a bunch of abilities that expends Thunder to heal Solar, and then use Solar to heal Thunder. It's a vicious circle, and if you get that out quickly, then your opponent's going to hurt. And then Brontowisp. So this was the card we talked about with Follow the Wisp. It is a 6/5, 1 fire, 1 lunar. You can disenchant fire from your Funglide in order to target and destroy a rune. So Funglide is a 1 cost, so it would essentially destroy your Funglide. When an Elestral on your field is destroyed in battle, you can expend fire in order to special cast a Funglide from your underworld. So Funglide's special ability is you can only attack Funglide while it's on the field. So for instance, you're going to do that, they're going to destroy Funglide, and then you're going to go ahead and recast it. It's a really cool ability to have. So those are the packs that we got. So that was pretty good. We did get 1 holo, which is kind of good compared to how Frostfall was. Frostfall was kind of broken because you would constantly get holos or full arts, and so they did fix the ratios a little bit, which I'm perfectly okay with. I know some people might not be too excited about that, but to fix the ratios in that way, it's kind of fair for everyone, because it became super easy to pull full arts, and full arts is supposed to, you're only going to get 1 per box typically, so it's kind of good that they stopped that a little bit. But this is your Chronodile starter deck, guys. So I highly recommend going to madtownhobby.com. They are sponsoring this video. So go ahead, and it's going to be linked in the description below. But go to madtownhobby.com, use code StellarSquad, and you're going to save 5% off the entire website. Doesn't matter if it's cards, if it's accessories, whatever. So go ahead, use our 5% discount. Go ahead and get yourselves a Chronodile starter deck. I hope everyone has a stellar day. My name is Stellar Christoph, and we'll see you next time.
We feel the earthquake, thunder crashing, fires awake. With every breath, the winds of change will face the titans.